Hello and welcome to another episode of North London Is. Just to remind you, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Before we get going though, I know this is predominantly a Spurs and Arsenal podcast, but I think it'd be wrong for us not to mention the Lioness reaching the World Cup final. Didn't quite get there in the end, but great achievement though.
Fantastic achievement. Very Spursy at the end, kind of just not quite getting over the line. Actually, in all honesty, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch all of it. I watched the majority of the final, but the World Cup, I didn't watch that much of it. But I did think England weren't as good as Spain anyway.
I thought Spain deserved to win on the day.
Yeah. Well, definitely on the day, Spain were better. I think the game is growing. Lots of injuries England had, by the way, going into this World Cup. Very Arsenal. Very, very Arsenal. Lots of injuries. I can see you laughing already. No, but in all seriousness, we were unlucky.
Listen, it was a great effort. And it was a shame, like the men's in the Euros, they just couldn't get over the line. But never mind. Yeah. Well played. Let's talk about the main match of the weekend. Big Ange's home debut against the mighty Manchester United. And everyone said it was going to be all doom and gloom. And Spurs pulled it out the hat, didn't they, Pez?
Hold on. You predicted a 2-1 win. So you were basically right. And I predicted a 1-1. I thought I have watched a lot of the game, not the complete 90 minutes, but I've watched a lot of the game. And I think that Spurs fans are getting very, very excited. I can understand why, because I think that you've been under a lot of stress with the Harry Kane situation the last few years with Conte and Mourinho. Whether you were, remember it wasn't long ago you were fourth and third favourites to win the league. I thought Basuma has looked very, very good the first two games of the season. Sarr I liked last year. I think he's a good player. Maddison obviously silky on the ball, but come on. I mean, some of what I'm reading on Twitter, it's between us and City.
Okay. I challenge you to show me those tweets where any Spurs fan has said they're going to win the league. What you're getting confused with is we're not getting excited that we're going to win the league. We're excited that we're seeing at last, after Jose, Nuno and Conte.
You're back to Poch.
We are seeing exciting football, and the stats, the stats are proving that. We've had, in the final third, we are way above where we were above Conte and Mourinho, and even above where we were in Poch's days. So listen, I'm personally not getting carried away. It's 2 games, and we've had one-off good results in the past, and it was a good result against a lot of people think United are going to be top 4 contenders. I certainly haven't seen that this season in their games against Wolves and us. But I think the excitement is, we are, considering we sold Kane only a few days before, the atmosphere at the Spurs, what Big Ange has done in a very, very short space of time is somehow, on the back of Kane leaving, he has united a bit what Arteta did with the Arsenal fans. He's united the fans behind the team. And there is now a feel-good factor.
I did hear. Listen, obviously, I know a lot of people that went to your game. I've spoken to a few people.
It wasn't that atmosphere. We haven't seen that atmosphere since we beat you 3-0 in 2020.
And you needed the refs' help then. Because I want to get on, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme. And I'm not saying that it was all anti-Man United, because I actually thought that there were moments when Spurs, the ref was pathetic in your game. I mean, last night, we're going to come on to that. But he was wrong. I thought Romero is a 50-50. I thought you could have had a penalty as well. But going back to forget the refs at the moment, because I'm sure people who are listening don't want to hear us going on and on about the refs. I am going to be going on and on about the refs.
I know, as you often do.
But Man United, terrible first two games. I mean, they look really
Well, I thought the first half, the first 30 minutes,
that's
they
what
could
I'm
be
gonna
2 up.
Should they? Exactly. Now, Angie's system is very much inverted fullbacks, very Arteta, very Guardiola. Yes, he was doing it at Celtic. So I'm not saying he was, he's copying Arteta. Of course he's not. Inverted fullback, but it left you open. And I thought Vicario made a fantastic save from, was it Bruno? It was a great save, but you were open. And I think had Man United had somebody who could put the ball in the net, because I think they're going to struggle to put the ball in the net at the moment, I think you would have been 2-0 down. And I think it would have been a very different game. I think I don't understand, on the basis of what I'd seen in every other game this season, why Romario wasn't a penalty. Do I think it was a penalty? No. I think it's ludicrous if you give a penalty for that. But on the basis of what I'm watching,
it's funny you say that, because I'm where I sit with my boys. I'm in the West Lower, and I'm sort of equal with the penalty box. I initially thought that was handball, and when it went to VAR, I thought it was going to be given. And I was pleasantly surprised when I watched it on Match of the Day, and even hearing Roy Keane thoughts saying it wasn't a penalty. The problem is none of us know what is a penalty and what isn't.
I just don't think you can give that as a penalty. But what I'm saying is, in the other games that I watched, I think it was Fulham Brentford, they gave an identical, they gave it anyway. Listen, penalties, whatever. Tottenham in the second half were far better. Basuma and Sarr against Casemiro, Fernandez, and who was the other guy? I mean, Mason Mount. He was
God. I mean, I've never seen such a poor midfield performance from
Basuma,
let alone a Man United player. I mean,
Basuma looks the player that you signed from Brighton that we all wanted. Sarr has got a lot of energy, but Manchester United's midfield, I mean, it was utterly shocking. The number of times I saw Sarr and Basuma just a little swivel and turn past Casemiro and Mount. I mean, I'm sorry. That is not good enough if you're Manchester United.
No,
and although Spurs were very good in the second half,
we blew them away second half. We blew them away. I mean, what is criminal is, looking at it now, is Conte's treatment of both Basuma and Sarr.
Did you not rate Sarr, though? Did you not rate Sarr?
Yeah, I mean, Sarr came on and he played.
Where's he from, by the way? Where's he from?
Oh God, you got me there.
No, I don't mean what club is he from. I think what nationality is he? Because I don't even know what nationality he is.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because he's going to go to the African nations, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, because Basuma is Basuma from Mali?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah,
but we played Sarr against AC Milan in the Champions League at the San Siro, and it was him and Skip. I don't know if you remember. You probably didn't watch Champions League last year, but and he played very well. He had a solid.
All right against us.
And he played all right against you. But Conte never played him again. All right, and Basuma. Conte didn't want to know him last year. I mean, okay, he got a nasty injury towards the end, so he was injured. But as you say, he's now playing like he was playing for Brighton. Maddison,
he played very, very well, and I thought the energy that you had in the second half absolutely dominated Manchester United. My worry as well for Spurs, though, will be as well as the kind of, and it's not just banter here. I think there is an element of an overreaction, but I did not think that Son or Richarlison played that well. No. I thought Kulusevski at times.
Second half, he played well.
Yeah, Kulusevski
created the first goal.
I would give Solomon. I would give Solomon a chance. I thought that when he came on, he looked interesting, but I worry about Son. I'm sure he'll have a game when he'll score 4 goals in one game, and then he'll go on a run of 2 games, but. I would imagine Spurs surely have got to be buying another striker, or not necessarily another centre forward, but a forward.
I think they are. I mean, the rumours that you hear on social media is they are definitely looking at a striker, stroke winger. I definitely think that's a position that we need. I mean, we've had Brentford and United, two tricky, games.
Yeah. No
And I think the promising thing is I don't think really Son and Richarlison and Kulu to a certain degree they have clicked at all. So if they do click, I think the formation that Big Ange sets us up, we are going to concede. He plays risk football, and there are times it's going to be, we're going to get thumped 3 or 4-1. I'm sure of it. But when it comes off, our goalie takes so much risks. He's a sweeper keeper to my heart's in my mouth.
Your left back looks good. Your new left back, a Poogie, or whatever his name is.
How much was you doggy in the window?
Decent player.
He looks good.
And I actually thought Porro played well.
Yeah, he had a few scary moments.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit, and you're going to say what an insult, of Emmanuel Abue. He can go forward and he looks good, but I would be nervous about him defensively.
Yeah.
But listen, there's no question, especially as, I'm sure you know this, you haven't got any type of European competition this season, that in midweek you're going to be able to rest players. And I think Spurs, I did say without Kane, I didn't think you've got a chance of getting top 4. But I have to say, even after 2 games, there is, when you look at Manchester United, when you look at Chelsea,
those gritted teeth.
Listen, when you look at Man United and you look at Chelsea, I mean, Chelsea, I thought played very, I know we're going to come on to Chelsea, but Man United at the moment, if they don't get that checkbook out again, and this kid that obviously they were missing for the first 2 games, this kid that they've invested a lot of money in, but he's not going to walk in and he's not going to score 20.
He only scored 9 goals last year. I mean,
he's young.
72 million. That's a big.
But Rashford can't play through the middle. Rashford needs to be coming in from the left or the right. I think Anthony is one of the most annoying footballers I've ever watched in my life. If I was a Man United fan, he's just so annoying. He's got talent, but he's not, he's not the player. Mason Mount, I don't get it. I reserve huge judgment on that. And I really think that Casemiro, for the first 2 games this season, unless he's carrying an injury, they've got a major problem there, because that was their player last year. He was their holding player.
This isn't a Man United podcast. Let's get on to your game last night.
Wow.
A gritty 1-0. I mean, are you a bit concerned? Are you a little bit concerned? And I'm not taking the mickey here. Forest and Palace last year, the corresponding fixtures, you won 7-0 on aggregate.
Yeah.
These 2 fixtures, you're 3-1 up on aggregate.
Well, what I like,
you're not quite clicking.
No, I think. Well, we've talked about the Forest game. I think Crystal Palace last night, we are not clicking from an attacking point of view. I think, look, is our best attacker Gabriel Jesus? I don't know. I'd probably say our most important attacking player is Starboy Saka. But he is, for me, although I thought Nketiah had a decent game last night, we do miss Jesus. I also think that we are playing a system at the moment, because we are missing Zinchenko, and I know, in fact, Lordy came in last night, where we've swapped the new boy Timber, already out for the season. Incredible that, but we'll come back into injuries in a second. Timber's out, so he's playing Partey, who I think is still our best midfielder. He's playing him at right back. He's inverting him to come into the middle. Last night, he started Tomiyasu, who is no Zinchenko. And I think we're a little bit muddly with where we are. But what I loved about us last night, even when we went down to 10 men for about 40 minutes, if you include all the extra time, I think Palace had 1 or 2 chances. And let me tell you, I'd pay another 50 million, Jules, for that boy from West Ham, Declan. He is a proper player.
He had a great game last night, and I'll tell you what I liked about Arsenal. And a lot of people
say it for gritted teeth.
No, even before the final whistle, when you were blocking things for corners, your defenders and goalies were celebrating like it was a game in March, April, right?
Yeah.
And that is the determination that you need. You need that mentality. Selhurst on a midweek evening under the floodlights.
I think it was Roy Hodgson's first defeat at home.
Well, we beat them 4-0 last season at
but that was, what's his name? I think it was old Pat's, wasn't it? Oh, my mate Patrick Vieira was the manager at the time.
Yes, the Arsenal.
Yeah,
legend.
He was. I'm telling you, it was Roy Hodgson.
I'm not sure if that was Pat or Hodgson. But
no, I think it was Pat. I'm almost certain it was Pat.
I thought you played well. Okay. I thought Rice was outstanding yesterday. I thought Rice was outstanding.
We were quite up front. Come on, Nketiah missed two. I mean, one of them was come on. I mean, that was not good enough. You know, if that's Harry Kane, if that's Mo Salah.
It's a shame. I mean, are you talking about when he took it on the turn and he was very near the keeper and he sort of dinked it over the bar? I mean, it was a good move.
The other one where he hit the post.
Yeah.
I'm probably, listen, Arsenal fans are going, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans are like, shut up. I'm just saying it how I see it. He never lets us down. In fact, invariably when he plays, we win. My big worry is this time, come March, come April, come May, where hopefully we are challenging. Is he going to be putting the ball in the net in those key games like Haaland, like Alvarez, like the kid at Liverpool who I think's outstanding, Diaz, not Nunez, Diaz, who started the season. That's my worry about Arsenal. I just worry about Nketiah.
He had two chances last night, and you got to put one of those away. You know, I think if you're going to be clinical in the Premiership, I agree.
Palace are okay. They're okay.
You know, I thought, listen, you were fortunate. You played them. Obviously, they've lost Zaha in the summer, so they're still getting.
Elise didn't play.
Elise didn't play. Let's talk about the sending off because I'm sure you've got views.
I don't want to get. I start getting itchy. I can't do this anymore. I can't watch a game like last night, and I am watching a referee who has booked Tomiyasu for wasting time, and it wasn't even 8 seconds. It's 7.8 seconds. Now, a few eagle-eyed
the previous throw-in was 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? But in the Premiership, you have on average between 40 to 50 throw-ins, right?
Yeah.
So if a team takes 24 seconds per throw-in, that's 20 minutes off a night. You know,
listen,
we all pay good money to go to football. We want value for money. That's not value for money if it's taken nearly 30 seconds.
100%. But I need the consistency. We've never seen the sending off at White Hart Lane where we had the penalty at White Hart Lane 2 seasons ago when you beat us 3-0. We've never seen that again.
The elbow.
And we've last night.
2 years ago, players, let it go.
Honestly, last night,
unhealthy.
Do you think the second yellow? I mean, that for me, I think AU dived. I think he dived.
Listen, but I know we have banter, right? The second yellow was a joke, right? I mean, I saw it in slow motion. I don't even think he tugged him.
And my problem is not only with the second yellow. If you're watching the game. I can't stand him because he has really been an annoying little forward against Arsenal over the years. He should have already been sent off. So my argument against, Spurs fans who say, comes around, what goes around, is no. Arsenal, yet again, last night have been done on a sending off. We've got no Tomiyasu now against Fulham. Timber out for the season. Luckily, we do have, I think, the best Scottish defender, but it doesn't look like Arteta rates him, Tierney. So I'm not sure what we're going to do there. But I can't.
What do you think about Eze? Did you think that was a penalty?
Could have been. Yeah, it could have been a penalty. It could have been. I've spoken to 2 Arsenal fans today. One of them said never a penalty. The other one said no, it could have been. If you're a Palace fan, you've got to look at it fairly. If you're a neutral, and I think it could have been a penalty. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Arsenal are going to win that game 2-0 or 3-0 if Tomiyasu stays on the pitch. I think we controlled the game for the last 10 minutes. That is what really, really impressed me. When Zinchenko and Jorginho and Kiwor came on, we looked good. And we kept Palace. And I know they're not going to win the league. They're not going to finish top 6, Palace. I know that. We're not up against a Tottenham, a Brighton, a Villa, a mid-table to maybe top end. I'm not going to say City or Liverpool. But I can't take the referee. I just can't take it. And last night, if we had lost that game, I'd be absolutely fuming. I'm just hoping what comes around goes around. That's what I hope with referees. Listen, every fan looks at their match, every game, and they go, "Oh, the referee's got it in for us." And I know I'm the worst at that.
But the biggest issue I have about referees is probably more so VAR. You can't really celebrate a goal because you just don't know what has happened in the build-up. Even the penalty, right? Last night, they were looking to see if there was a foul in the build-up to not the actual foul, but if Partey, Partey always gets away with things, it seems. But if Partey threw the defender to the floor. But
the VAR it's not a good situation at the moment.
It's horrible because you and I listen. We've supported or followed football for years. When there's a goal, you want to celebrate 100%. I know it works both ways. You celebrate, goes to VAR, and then it's given, and then you celebrate again. So it's a double whammy. But you can never 100% celebrate because you just don't know what they're looking for.
Unfortunately,
we come on to the big debate of the evening. Let's just summarise the other quickly games. You were probably equally gutted as I was that Chelsea got stuffed at the Hammers.
I watched that game, Jules. I don't know if you watched it. I watched it, and I've got to tell you, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm tearing my hair out because for the first half they look really good. Sterling played absolutely brilliant. Enzo Fernandez was running the game in midfield. Defensively, they look good. A mistake on the corner, and they've gone in. They've missed the penalty, and then they've come out the second half. And I've got to tell you, they didn't play well. And West Ham scored the goal from Antonio, who I know Richarlison's mate, Antonio. It is worrying, but I'm telling you now, he's going to get them together. And I tell you why he's going to get them together, because they've got some fantastic footballers. And
you know what? I don't know half their team. Some
no, but in the midfield, they're going to have Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Lavia.
Yeah, he proved he was a £100 million player, didn't he, Caicedo?
Oh, he was awful. I love Caicedo. I've got to tell you, he'll be good. I thought Jackson was fine. West Ham looked good. They looked good. They weren't as good as Chelsea, but listen, it happens. I don't know if you watched. I watched a little bit of Manchester City, Newcastle.
Yeah, I got home from the Spurs game. I watched most of the second half. Cracking goal to win it.
Cracking goal. Newcastle played well.
Yeah, they did.
Dirty, strong and dirty, and bringing them down and going there, and that he comes across as a really lovely guy. Eddie Howe, but he's building a unit there, and a couple more players, and they're going to be. I'm not saying they won't finish top 4 this season because I think they can, but very impressed.
You've had the big advantage, obviously, now with the news that broke within the last week, and even further good news for you today. Today's news with Pep undergoing back surgery. He's going to be out for a few weeks, but De Bruyne being out to the new year, that's a big plus. Joking aside, that is a big. Is that a title changing injury?
Possibly. Have you seen their first 10 fixtures? It's the equivalent of Arsenal and Tottenham playing Boreham Wood, Enfield, St Albans. Seriously, I'm looking at their fixtures, and I actually, honestly, I know they played Newcastle, but it was at home. I'm looking for an away game, and I'm going to be turning 41 on October the 7th. And that's their first away game is at us on October the 5th. And it literally, they've got Sheffield United this week away from home. I think
because you've had a tough start, haven't you? Forest, Palace, and Fulham. You could choose 3 of the best teams to play.
I think we've had an easier start, but then we've got United, we've got Spurs, we've got our nemesis. We're going to Everton. Oh God, I mean, I can't bear going to Everton.
Don't talk to me about Everton. Did you watch their defending? I
Well,
mean,
I
think the biggest insult for Eric Dyer is even Everton aren't in for him.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, I've got to tell you, Villa have got some good players as well.
Yeah, no, that
you know, Unai Emery's always good at home. He's a good manager at home. He struggles sometimes away from home, but Villa looked impressive. I think
they're going to concentrate on Europe. I mean, he's obviously got a fantastic European record.
But I'd be worried for them if Ollie Watkins got injured.
I would love Ollie Watkins. I mean, part of me thinks we should sell Richarlison, say, for 40 and bid 60, 70 for Watkins.
You won't get Ollie Watkins for 60, 70.
No, probably not.
The one you're going to try and go for is well, I think you'll try and go for a younger guy now, but maybe in the future. But I think Arsenal should definitely go for him. Is Ivan Toney? You know, I mean, but who knows? I thought Villa looked good. I saw some footage of Fulham Brentford, and I actually think your result, getting a draw at Brentford 2-2. Yes, they were missing Ben Mee. I checked on that, by the way. Their captain, Ben Mee, was missing in that game against you. But I have to tell you, they are a good side. And they pulled. I watched a little bit of the footage of Spurs Brentford again. And you were probably slightly the better side. But at times, they were pulling you all over the place a bit. Yeah. They are a very hard side to play. So they were impressive. Brighton are just bloody magnificent to watch. Yeah. I mean, they really... I know they've only played Luton and... Who was it? Wolves on the weekend.
Yeah.
But come on. You've got to give them credit. The manager is playing... Every week he comes out with a new formation, a new team, but they play football. And that Matoma, let me tell you, if Casado's worth 100 and whatever, that Matoma's got to be worth 100 and a bit more, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised... When Mahrez left City, I'm surprised City didn't go after him.
Well, they bought somebody today for 80 million.
55. Duku or whatever.
Oh, only 55. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it's going to be. I was listening the other night to a friend of mine, and he said to me, "This is going to be one of the most open seasons we've ever had. There is so many good teams. I still think City are favourites, even with De Bruyne out. I still think they're favourites, but." Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Okay. So a new feature we've been talking about on the podcast is debates. Who's better? So we thought, what better to start with, topical, is Harry Kane v a certain Thierry Henry.
Yeah. And I've allowed you this, Jules. I've allowed you this. And I know you're going to come up with loads and loads of stats about how many goals per game and this and that. But I want you to honestly tell me the truth, right? Honestly, if Harry Kane had not been in your side the last 5 years and Thierry Henry from 2004 had in the last 5 or 6 years, honestly, do you think you would have had a better chance of winning trophies?
No, I mean, Henry won trophies at Arsenal.
No, forget what he won.
He was in a better team.
He was in a much better team. Correct.
You know, and, you know, you can't just point how many trophies, more trophies you've won, the better player you are.
No, who's the better player? I'm agreeing with you on that because he was surrounded by Bergkamp. He was surrounded by Pires. He was surrounded by Vieira. Harry Kane was playing sometimes with, you know, Oliver Skipp, Harry Winks and...
I was always terrified when we played Arsenal and Henry was playing, and I was mentally scarred by Henry because I was at the old Highbury when he waltzed through our defence.
Oh, what a lovely goal.
Then he ran 40 yards to skid in front of us.
Were you there?
I was there.
Yeah. So I've got a friend of mine who will be listening to this, a very, very, well, not really a friend of mine, more the brother of a very good best friend of mine, not really talking to me at the moment, but that's the story for another day. And there's a picture that he's got of Henry staring at him doing that. And listen, honestly, Harry Kane has been magnificent as a out and out centre forward. I think he's actually been better than Thierry Henry but my argument is you can't compare them. Henry, for me, is in the top 2-3 players that has ever played in Britain, full stop. And I think he's in the top 20 players ever in all categories. He's not on Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo, Zidane's level, but he is that level just below that. And Harry Kane, I think one of the reasons why, by the way, he scored so many goals is that you've had literally, apart from Son, I don't know if you've had anybody else. No, I'm not doing that as winding you guys up.
Listen, he scored 213 goals for us. I mean, he scored 40, I think it is 44 headers. So he's pretty good in the air as he is.
He's been magnificent.
He's been outstanding. I must admit, listen, pace always petrifies the opposition and opposition fans. Henry, when he was in full flow running at you, I mean, they're different players. I mean, Kane's never had the pace Henry had.
When he started, when he came into the side, the kind of 15, 16, 17, he was I watched him against Bayern, for Bayern the other night. And, he's a different player now.
But he holds up the play. He plays deeper. I mean, his link play. I mean, last season, as well as being our best striker, he was our best midfielder. I mean, his link up play.
Yeah, listen,
he could pass the ball like Hoddle at times.
Yeah. As an all-round footballer, he is one of the best players that has played in British football in the last 5, 6, 7 years, no question. And I think we can, I can take the mickey and say he's a loser. He never won anything for Spurs and all of that. He never, did anything for England. But Henry also let Arsenal down at certain times. But he, as a footballer, is, for me, one of the greatest footballers that's ever played. And I'd have him in the top 20 players of all time. Harry Kane, I don't think is in that level of the top 20. That's my opinion. And I also think if you ask the neutrals, and we can do a little poll if you want. We can do a little poll. Yeah. Non-Arsenal. I think the neutrals would probably agree with me, Jules.
Well, Arsenal tend to win most polls, as we know on Twitter. Listen, I think they're both fabulous players. Kane's got more goals for Spurs. Admittedly, he played for a longer period for Spurs than Henry did. Yeah. But internationally, he scored more international goals for England than Henry did for France. Explosive power, Henry, unbelievable. But
who at their peak would you rather have in your side? And I think most neutrals. And by the way, Kane, I know he's been a nightmare for you, Henry, but Kane, for me, seeing him not put on that shirt is an absolute delight because he has scored so many goals against Arsenal. I know a lot of them have been penalties, but some of those headers, that goal when he took off his mask.
He scored 14 goals against the Arsenal. Yeah. I mean, Henry scored 5 against Spurs.
Let's both admit, Henry wins this argument. Not hands down.
100% no. 100% no. I mean...
Henry wins it, and we're doing a little poll.
Kane has got more Premier League goals, more international goals, more headers, more penalties, and he didn't score that many free kicks, but probably more free kicks. Anyway,
he certainly got more penalties. Anyway, what about this coming week? We've got some big games. Spurs yet again, another easy game.
Oh yeah, Bournemouth really easy, and you've got the mighty Fulham at home.
I got to tell you,
seem to be at home, don't you?
I got to tell you, I'm happy Mitrovic is no longer there because he always does well against us. We'll start with Bournemouth, but I have to admit, I don't know who Bournemouth are actually playing up front at the moment, but I was so impressed with what they did at the end of last season. So will it be tricky? It's a 12:30 kickoff, isn't it? Madison is maybe not playing.
I don't think he's going to. I think they won't risk him. It's not a bad injury. I heard it's a minor strain, 3 to 10 days.
I'm going to hope. I'm going to hope for 1-1. That's my heart. My head is telling me 3-1 Spurs. I'm hoping for 1-1. they're pretty good at scoring the first goal, and then they don't seem to hold on, do they? That's
I mean, I went to Bournemouth last year when they went 2-0 up, and we came back with a last-minute winner. You know, it's listen, you know, I'm not saying because we won on Saturday we're going to, you know, you never know with Spurs, and it's still too early to know what Spurs team are going to turn up. And without Maddison, you know,
and you've got Fulham in the.
But listen, if you want to do anything, you've got to go to the likes of Bournemouth and win. You know,
and you've got haven't you got Fulham though in the Carabao?
We've got Fulham in the biggest.
He's got to take that seriously.
Competition in England next Tuesday night. Yes.
Why? Sorry, why are you playing? I'm not understanding why you're playing in that round. How come you're playing that round?
I think they wanted, obviously, a big name to sort of just help promote the competition. And
that's why Fulham are in it.
Happy to oblige.
Yeah, I think. Listen, unfortunately, I do think you'll win. And Arsenal against Fulham. Well, again, if we don't win that, you know, we can't really discuss any title credentials. Hopefully, Zinchenko will be back. Jesus is not back. I know that. Timber obviously is going to be out until probably April. I think we will. I think we will win. I hope we win, and it would be good for Martinelli and Saka to get on the score sheet if we do. But it'll be a hard game because let me tell you, last year we played them right at this time of the season. I actually thought they deserved to, if not beat us, at least draw, and we got a last-minute goal.
You got a last-minute winner, didn't you?
Yeah, he's a good manager. He's a good
manager. No, he is. He is. I think they're going to lose him to Saudi Arabia this summer.
Yeah, I think their captain might be out. Ream, is it Ream?
I'm not sure.
He got sent off against Brentford.
Well, hopefully the player that we had, Vinicius, will be leading the line.
Yes. So what's your prediction for Arsenal?
Arsenal 3-0.
And Spurs?
2-1 Spurs. 2-1 Spurs. Listen, we will talk about it all on Sunday evening, no doubt.
Sunday evening, looking forward to it.
Have a good week. And until
have a great
then,
week.
Just remember, North London is